of those Marines that was over there with my son. Let's give it up for First Sergeant Freddy Torres.
Hey, first and foremost, it's a tremendous honor and privilege to stand up here and get to talk to you a little bit before you go out and you take the field, just like Coach just talked about, why you do this, why we still remember him, why we think about and we memorize these Marines that have set, or not just Marines, all service members that have paved the way for us. My name is First Sergeant Freddy Torres. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, just 2 hours south from here. I joined the Marine Corps in 2006. I was with the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 3-5. On that deployment in 2010, and another story I'll share with you, October 13th, that's when we lost 4 Marines in one day. December 30th, 2010, that same year, there was a patrol of Marines, a squad of Marines out on patrol. New area, they had never been there before, and they're talking to local nationals, gaining intelligence. They're making their way back to their patrol base, their safe spot. There's 25 Marines on patrol that day. As they're making their way back, entering their patrol base, the back of the patrol, one of the Marines steps on an IED, a roadside bomb, homemade explosives. That IED was 25 pounds big. That IED was meant to blow up and kill every single one of those Marines on that patrol. Thankfully, the Marine that stepped on it, only 4 pounds of that IED went off, so it shattered his foot. Broke his ankle, broke his leg. They got him on a stretcher, got him in a truck, they got him out of Afghanistan. Well, there's still 20-ish pounds out there that needs to get blown in place so the Taliban doesn't pick it up and use it against the Marines. So the squad leader, the one that's in charge, the sergeant, makes a decision that instead of taking all 25 Marines back out there, he's only going to send a 4-man team out there to take some demolition, place it on the floor, and blow it in place. So they do that. 4-man team goes out, 3 Marines go around the corner. The sergeant, the squad leader, places the demolition down. He's about to blow the 60-second timer, when from the east, about 200, 300 meters, the Taliban opens up with their machine guns. And they start suppressing left and right. Immediately, the sergeant puts his weapon up. He runs in the direction of the Taliban and starts firing back at them. For about 20, 30 meters. He sees a waist-high wall, a little divot that he was going to sit behind or stand behind, knee behind, and engage back to the Taliban. When he ran there and got there, fell on his back, looked up, and he's realized that his uniform was completely filled in red. He had been shot twice, once on each leg. From the corner of his left eye, here comes one of those Marines that was on security, sprinting to him under fire. The Taliban's still suppressing him. Slides in, grabs his medical scissors, cuts the pants open of the squad leader, and blood was gushing out. His femoral artery had been shot. That team leader, that Marine that ran to him, put his fingers in, put his palm down, put some gauze in, stopped the bleeding, put a tourniquet on, applied it, got on the radio and said, I need the quick reaction force out here. I need a stretcher to get my sergeant out. He's bleeding out. He's dying if we don't get him out of here. A couple minutes pass by. The stretcher gets out there with the quick reaction force. They put him on the stretcher. On the count of 3, all guns blazing. Every single rocket, every single gun needs to go off so that we can get our squad leader out. Count of 3 goes off. They pick him up, and they're carrying him back the last 100, 150 meters into the patrol base where there's a truck backed up ready to put him in there and get him to the next echelon of care. As he's getting carried out, he's lying on that stretcher. He picks up his left hand, looks over. It's the sergeant of the quick reaction force, his best friend. He grabs his hand and holds it tight, and he says these last words to him. Tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. Squeezes tight one more time, and he says, tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. His hand falls. They get him in the truck. They get him out of Afghanistan, get him to Germany, immediately starts having surgeries, get him to California where he starts his recovery. That sergeant made it. That was January 2011 when he started the road to recovery. But that next week, on his first week of being in the hospital in San Diego, the doctors came to him and said, your leg's getting amputated next week. Here's your medical retirement paperwork. You can no longer serve in the Marine Corps. You cannot serve with the prosthetic. So that sergeant fought back with the medical staff. Said, give it a couple of weeks. Let's try physical therapy. Let's give it a chance. The doctors were hesitant, but they agreed with him. The 2 to 3 physical therapies a week turned into 2 to 3 physical therapies a day. It went from 2 to 3 times a week to every single day grinding. It came off the wheelchair, came off a walker, came off crutches, started to walk, started to jog, started to run. Because that sergeant, the squad leader, knew that 3 months later, April 2011, the battalion was going to come back from that combat deployment, and he wanted to be there at the bottom of that staircase to receive his squad. So it took a lot of fallbacks. There was a lot of challenge, adversity, a lot of roadblocks, fallbacks that came with that. It was painful. It was not easy. He went against the doctor recommendation. I'll tell you right now, April 2011, when that plane landed in Riverside at March Air Force Base, that staircase came down. I stood at the bottom of that staircase and I hugged every single one of my squad members that saved my life on December 30th, 2010. Just 3 months prior to that, doctors told me my leg was going to get cut off. They told me my career was over. And I share this story with you not to put myself up here. I share that story with you because of the challenges that I went through, the mental challenges that I went through, the adversity, the times I wanted to give up, the times I didn't want to do it anymore, the times that I thought it was too hard. Because some of you, if not all of you, have gone through a challenge, whether it's an injury on the field, whether it's pain, whether it's at home, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your family, whether it's fill in your blank, whatever it is. Whatever struggle and challenge you faced, and you came out of that. You've overcame it, just like I did. And it took me a long time to share this story. 2 years ago, God brought me to my knees and he said, it's time to share this story. Because for the longest time, I had guilt and I had shame of sharing that story because I made the decision to go put that explosive down and I let my squad down by getting injured. So I carried that guilt with me for a long time and I carried that shame because I made the decision. But again, taking it back 2 years ago, God said, it's time to get on your knees, give it all to me, surrender, submit, and I was obedient to him. And now I get to minister to young adults, youth, every single week. I get to minister to high schoolers every single week at my youth program at my church. And it's the biggest blessing, and I'm so grateful for it. God, I'm truly a believer now. God kept me around to share this story and many others that have gotten me to where I'm at today. That's the combat stuff. Not to mention the childhood stuff, growing up without a father. Most of my life, I saw my father more through a glass wall and a phone in a prison than I did in person. And now I get to take those struggles, plus a lot more, a mother that raised 5 of us on her own with 2 to 3 jobs, and I get to minister and get these youth and young adults through what they're going through. God used me for that manner. So when you go out there, remember what you're playing for. Remember the challenges you're going through and how you can overcome them. Because it's more than just a football game. You're going to see 25 Marines out there that didn't make it back. From October 7th, 2010 to January 20th, 2011, in a 4-month span, we lost 25 Marines. And here I was thinking I was going to be on that banner or my picture was going to be on there. But God kept me around for a reason. Best of luck tonight, the rest of the season. Thank you, and God bless every single one of you.
First Sergeant Freddy Torres. First Sergeant Freddy Torres.